So I have a vertical setup for my still life, and I'm going to take my piece of paper, make sure it's set up vertically, make sure my still life is seen, and then I want to center my still life in the center of my paper, almost like it's floating. So I'm going to sketch in what I see. What do I see here is I see a cylinder on the side. I'm going to draw it a little bit smaller than real life. So I have I'm starting with a rectangle, and then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make associations. The top corner of this comes into probably right where it starts to, halfway where it starts to go into the center. So, of the vase. So I'm going to start my cube. I'm ignoring the tennis ball right now. Just going to start, when I look at the edge of the table, I make an association across the edge of the table. We call this the plane in math and in art. Across that flat plane right there, it's going to come down up a little bit in front, right here. We're going to keep our same angles. I'm making light lines so I can erase if I make a mistake, when I make a mistake, because I do make a lot of mistakes. So there we go. We have that situated in the front like that, and then on the top we're going to draw a tennis ball, which is really just a sphere right here. Making light lines so I can erase. Erase that. When we erase lines, after we put lines over lines, it makes it look like things overlap. So we have just the basic lines for this. Then I can come in and I can see, oh my goodness, across the top here, I have an ellipse. I can start to make my lines a little bit darker. This curves in real gently, then gets flat, then curves out rather sharply. So we're going to make that curve, get straight, curve out. It's got a bulbous bottom. It doesn't go straight across the bottom, it curves across the bottom. So I really look at those lines. In gently, out sharply, up. There's an overlap. A little bit right in through there. Maybe you can't see it the way the camera is. Okay? My lines are a little bit darker. If I don't like what I see, I just come back and I make other lines. Super light lines so I can erase. So now I have the basic shape almost formed. Okay, come back in, erase my lines. Oh, well looky there. I'm not going to put all the information in yet. I pretty much have my box done. If I don't like where something is situated, I can come back. Remember, you're creating an illusion that people are going to believe that these things are forms. Draw my box lid like this. Just come across. Trying to see it come into life. I'm not putting any shading on this yet. You need to make sure you have everything where it belongs. I'm paying attention to detail. These things don't line up. There's a little bit of an overhang on the box. Okay? That ball isn't perfect. You're drawing from hand. It's not going to be perfect. This is probably the first time some of you guys have done anything like this. When you're looking at basic shapes, it doesn't matter if it's perfect. We're going to look at the curve of the line on the tennis ball, and I'm going to try and look at this kind of like a clock. So if I make associations with things that I know and things that I'm not so sure about, it's more of a picture in my mind. So I'm going to say about 1:30, there's a line that starts right there. And it goes all the way down to 6 o'clock, but it curves kind of like a weird flattened S. And it goes down like that. Now really that line's going to be lighter in the end. So we're going to go along like this. Make it that association. This line starts at about 9:30, like a clock, like I said, and curves down into the bottom. So I can tell what these objects are. We just want to be able to recognize. Now these objects look like they're floating in space. So if we want to keep the illusion going, we can draw a line about where we see the line on the back of the desk, where it goes through like this. It doesn't have to be a straight line. It doesn't have to start and go directly across. It might even look a little more interesting if I angle this line up. So let me erase that. Angle. You can make your little noises. There you go. Okay, so your next step is shading in your objects, adding the 6 components. If you want to put a little bit of a reflection, the table shiny, you can do that. You can really challenge yourself. I think for some of us, just getting this much done is challenging. So we're looking at making sure, this could even be a little bit taller, making sure you put situate your paper correctly. You put your items in the center of the page. Start with shapes, general shapes first, real simple shapes, and then draw them in as forms. And I don't like that right there, so I'm going to change that. This is called editing, just like in language arts, but I think it's a little bit more fun. Editing a little bit, you can come back in, makes things skinnier. You can, and then add your line across the top, making associations with the roundness of the ball and something else that you know, like a clock, and then turning it into something that looks like a form.